So, hello and welcome to OpenLM. My name is Sagi, and in this session, we're going to look at the core functionality of OpenLM. First, we'll talk about the core functionality, meaning the functions that you get in the basic product without any extensions. I'll show you what reports that you get. I'll explain how they help you. Afterwards, I'll show you how it's deployed, what you install on your network, and how it all goes together. So let's begin. So we'll start with the core functionality of OpenLM. It can be broken down into simply 5 different business objectives. So you got your license inventory, you got your real-time usage monitoring, the license usage reporting, the license optimization, and license server management. Now, this might look a bit similar at first, but they are really very different. Let's take a look at each one in turn. So first, let's take a look at the engineering license inventory. License inventory is sometimes referred to as discovery. It's a popular term in SAM software. It means knowing what licenses you own, knowing where they're located, and if they are being used or if they expired. So in the licenses report, as you can see here, it shows you all the engineering licenses in your organization. As you see, each line represents one feature, which can be a complete software package. It can be an add-on, it can be a tool, whichever. Here, you can see everything that you need to know about the license. The server from which the license gets pulled, its type, the quantity that you've purchased, and the license checkout policy that you define in the license agreement. This is the license server screen that displays all your license managers at one place. It displays their status and the number of licenses contained in each one. We can take a look inside one particular license manager and see a list of all the licenses contained in it, together with the number purchased for each one. So from here, we can go and view essential procurement information. This is the license procurement report. It's an extension of the previous license report and shows critical information such as the date the license was issued, when it starts, and when it expires. Now let's move on to real-time usage monitoring, which is the second function of OpenLM. And from static license inventory, now we're moving on to live usage, where we can see real-time stats about your license efficiency, know how many licenses are currently in use, and get details of how those sessions are actually playing out. And let's take a look at the license report that we saw a few slides back, but this time we're interested in what's going on right now. Besides the total number of licenses purchased, as you see here, we can see how many are actually checked out. So here we see 6 checked out of 11. So if we click on one of the used licenses, used values, we can drill down and see that we have 6 users, and we see their name, we see their feature, what they are using, which workstation, the session duration, just about everything that you can know about the session of that user. So in fact, we can view the currently consumed licenses from almost any combination of main criteria. So you can filter to show by server, vendor, a certain license type, a certain feature, much more. We can save the filtered view for reuse later, so you won't have to filter everything each time. License reporting, we've taken a look at inventory and current usage, but now we want to focus on history. This can mean yesterday, last week, last 3 months, last year, last quarter. There are a host of structured usage reports in OpenLM, from the dashboard that gives you an overview of the last week, to visualizations of how usage actually changes during the day, to denials. The reports come in forms of chart, tables, heat map, just everything that you can think of. So this is the dashboard that we're talking about. It shows you a bird's eye view of the last 7 days trends and denied features. It shows you denied users and used features, as well as current server status and idle sessions. So it gives you a bird's eye view of pretty much everything that happened in the last 7 days. And this is the license usage report, which is one of the most used reports that we have, and you see it here aggregated by week. The thinner horizontal line along the top shows the total license inventory, while the lower, thicker line shows the usage by week. Note that a purchase in June of additional licenses, it went up from 35 to 70 licenses. It really released the pressure here, but as time moved on, we see that more and more usage was added until it was actually peaked, maxed out right here. And of course that you can download the CSV and get it into Excel, whatever you'd like. So here you can see the same license usage report, but it looks a bit different, right? This time it's aggregated by days. So if you hover on any point that displays the total aggregated usage for that day, you'll see these two consecutive days, like 31 licenses here, and the day after that 34. You can select the scope of licenses in the filter screen on the left. And if we want, we can see the license usage hour by hour even. You can even view the license usage without any aggregation. It means that every new session that is established is represented on the graph. There is no peak usage, but only the usage itself. Now, I mentioned the heat map display earlier, and here's one example. For example, you can see that the usage rises. As the usage rises, the colors go from green to yellow to orange to red. And you can see here what can we understand from this report, that late morning until the late afternoon are the highest usage periods here. But in weekends, you can see that it's all green as expected. Denials report shows attempt to pull licenses that were rejected because none were available at that time. So you can group them by a dozen of different characteristics, like you can group them by group, by user, by feature, and see the amount of denials that you had for each one. Knowing how the denials vary as the day progresses is an important tool in understanding your organization's needs and how it can help in changing your license usage policy, so not everyone uses the software at the same time. So for example, here you can see that 1 o'clock is the most denied hour, might be the most used hour. Here you see the denials, but by user level. And of course, you can show the denials as a bar chart, as a graph, as a pie chart. You have many options. But as important as trends are, you'll still want to know the details from time to time. So here you can see one particular user trying every few minutes to pull a license while all are currently taken. So I think that's enough on denials reports for now. Let's talk about usage. This time from a different point of view. We looked earlier at operational report with granular level. Now we'll take a look at consolidated usage statistics and trends. This is the license activity report. This is grouped by feature, as you see here. You can compare total usage time, the session durations, and token session duration in a set period of time for different features, users, vendors, what you see here. This is the same report, as you can see, but by group. This can be a department, a team, or any custom defined group. We've now covered license inventory, real-time monitoring, and usage reporting. So we know what's going on now, we know what happened before, but this doesn't give us information about how many licenses we actually need. So this is where license optimization comes in. There are also dedicated reports that hit the optimization nail right on the head. They'll tell you the usage that you can expect from owning different numbers of licenses. You can know the recommended number of licenses for defined quality of service and get to see what licenses you've bought but never actually used. So this is the license utilization report, which is based on your historical usage statistics. It maps different numbers of licenses against the percentage of time that number has been in use. So for example, in this case, 60 out of 70 licenses in the pool are in use a mere 1% of the time, and 51 are in use a mere 5% of the time. The bottom line is that your current level of server is 100%, and that's good. But on the other hand, if 95% availability is good enough for you, you don't need more than 51 licenses. In this case, the user requested 95% availability by entering 95 on the top here, and having just 30 licenses will suffice for that, as you can see. Now let's take a look at the 85%, which means that it needs only 30 licenses and not 70 licenses. Now this shows you how many licenses you actually need, how many licenses you actually need to buy. So the licenses not in use report shows this in a more direct way. Well, let's say that you bought 40 licenses for a certain product, but never used more than 25 at the same time. So this happens a lot in OpenLM's licenses not in use. It can show you it points you to the right facts that you need to know. You can then decide whether to continue paying maintenance for them or cancel them, because you see that they're not actually used and you shouldn't buy them next year. The fifth main function of OpenLM's core product is license server management. You can start or stop the license server, reread the license file without a license server restart, and you can easily download and view files which are located on the license server. So here you can see the license server control panel with the start, stop, reread functions. When you click on the license server, the panel will pop up, and you can also, as you see here, download and upload files from and to the license server, such as the debug log, license file, the options file. And of course, OpenLM helps you to spread the reports, meaning that you can share it by link, you can share it by email, you can schedule it to be sent, for example, each Monday I want to get notified about, I want to report about Autodesk. So you can set that, you can set a schedule to repeat. Now, we've taken a look at the OpenLM core system, but now let's take a look at how it's deployed on the organization. We have 4 options here: the standard, restricted, cloud, and advanced configuration. So the standard configuration, first of all, as you can see here, this is the recommended method to get the most out of the system in as a short time as possible without any extensions. So the black text represents components that you already have on your network, like browser, vendor daemon, license manager. The blue text represents OpenLM components. On the right, you can see that your license server has a license manager, and on it a few vendor daemons. Vendor daemon can be the application vendor itself, Autodesk, Esri, and so on, ESRI, and so on. So you install a component on the server called the OpenLM broker, which receives license inventory and usage data from the license manager. The second item that you see here is the OpenLM core product, which needs to be installed on a dedicated network server. So the OpenLM broker communicates the license data it receives from the license manager to OpenLM, and there the data is processed to produce software inventory and usage information, which can then be accessed from any device in your organization that has the required authority. Now let's take a look inside OpenLM. There are 3 main products. You got the OpenLM server, which is a Windows service that does all the processing and data acquisition. The OpenLM web application, which allows you to have a user interface and see all the reports, and the OpenLM database, where all the data is stored. The second configuration that we have is the restricted configuration. This is for clients that cannot install or are not allowed to install anything on the license server. So in this case, the license manager will directly send information to OpenLM. Now, without the broker, some data cannot be retrieved. For example, denials information cannot be retrieved. So it's only used in cases where it's not possible to install anything on the license server. In this deployment option, the cloud deployment option, everything is on the cloud except one component, the OpenLM broker. You need to install it on the license server, and then it will collect data from your license manager and send it via a secured connection to the cloud. But this is only the beginning, as today we looked at OpenLM core functionality. Now, this is what will give you the fastest return on your investments, but OpenLM has the OpenLM advanced configuration, which after you've realized that the power of OpenLM's core functionality, and you think that you can go further, so on top of the standard configuration, there are extensions to integrate with your enterprise directory service, to provide information to your users about license availability, establish external database connections, and so on. So for example, with this configuration, users can query the availability of licenses, including the location of checked out licenses. With the optional OpenLM directory synchronization, users, organizational units, and all their information is synchronized with OpenLM. For example, the OpenLM Reporting Hub extension is a dedicated reporting database which automatically is built once a day, ready for custom querying. Now, in short, the OpenLM extensions give you more powerful reporting. It lets you integrate with other IT systems, give your users information about license availability, and much more. So some are free and some are paid extras. And when you're ready, you can try them out for free. So now I want to show you what I was talking about. I want to show you a demonstration of all those reports and how they can help you. So first of all, OpenLM, as we said, it can show you license information and usage information. Mainly, it shows you in this window what's going on right now. So for example, I see for ArcGIS, I have 15 licenses. 9 of them are used. So if I click on the number 9, I get the 9 users which are using. I have Alexei here, Abby, Ben. I got almost everyone. I got everyone that's using this license. Now, let's say that you want to know how many features you have inside one license manager. So I go inside the feature and I see that this one only has one feature, total 15 licenses with 14 used. I can click on the procurement and I'll see all the procurement information of it, the quantity, when it expires, in this case it's permanent, and the type, the vendor, everything about the license. Now this gives you the current status, what's going on now. So this gives you the current status of what's going on now. Let's say that you want to get statistical information. You want to know what's going on with your licenses, not what's going on now. So for that, we have, for example, the license usage report, as you've seen before. You see here that the license was underused, but then slowly but surely it got maxed out. The license usage got maxed out to the license quantity. Now what happens here? Once it's got maxed out, then users start getting denied. They started getting denied from pulling the license. So for that, we have the denials report, which shows you all the users, how many denials they had. You can aggregate it by user, by group, by feature, just about whatever you'd like. And you can also see it in a table here. Now, these usernames might look strange because this is a client database and the username have been encrypted, so we won't be able to show them. But anyway, what I want to show you here is the true denials option. OpenLM are the only ones that track true denials. What is true denial? Let's say that you have an engineer that tries to pull a license. So he tried to pull a license and got denied. So any user would just try to get the license again and again and again and again, like 50 times until they got it. So in the reports, the admin would see 50 denials here. So, whoa, something is wrong. But you don't need 50 licenses, you only need one. So using the show true denials only, you can aggregate all those denials and the denial will show up as one, not as 50 denials, but just as one, because you needed one license for one user for that time. Now this is great. It shows you what's going on with the license usage. When it maxes out, it shows you how many denials you have, but how many licenses do you need? None of this tell you. It gives you an approximation, but you don't know how many licenses you actually need. So for that, we have the license utilization report, which shows you the amount of licenses that you need in order to achieve a certain quality of service. Now, what is a quality of service? What does that mean? Quality of service means that, let's say that you're okay with the fact that let's say it's 95, 5% of the times users will get denied. 95% of the times they will get their license, but 5% of the time they will get denied. Now, if you think that this is reasonable, 95, so we take a look at the QoS line, and it shows us that we only need 45 licenses out of the 70 licenses. Now, let's say that I'm okay with, let's say, 90%. So we see here that we only need 30 licenses. So this gives you an actual number. How many licenses do I need for this feature? This way, when you buy a license from the vendor, they will not be able to sell you more or less. You will get exactly the amount that you need, and you will have the report to back it up. Now let's take a look at the same thing, but from another angle. The licenses not in use report. It shows you, for a time span that you choose, it shows you which licenses were not used. So you can set it for forever, and then it will show you which licenses were, for example, never used. As we see here, I see that I got 35 licenses from this feature, 2014, that they never been used. So next time I go and buy this, I know that 2014 I don't really need. I don't use that. No one uses that. So this gives you like the same idea, but from another angle. It doesn't tell you how many licenses you need. It tells you how many licenses you don't need. And OpenLM also has the capability to give you a group billing capability. Sorry. So you can, for example, set the aggregation to be group for the license activity report. And you'll be able to see the usage duration, the session duration per group. So this group can be anything. It could be country, it can be department, it can be office, it can be just about anything. And you have the options here to do it by user, by feature, by server, by group, by whatever. And this is pretty much it. A quick recap. We saw the license usage report, which shows us how far we are from maxing out the licenses. We saw the denials report, which shows us what happens after we max it out. We saw the license utilization report, which tells you how many licenses you need. We saw the licenses not in use report, which tells you how many licenses you don't need. And the license activity, which shows you the session duration. And this way you can have chargeback billing, group billing. You can build different organizational units accordingly. Now, OpenLM has many more reports that I didn't go over. It has the dashboard, it has operational reports, management reports, just simple reports, project, group. I'm not going to go over them because I've showed you the main ones that help you to get empowered in front of the vendor. It helps you to reduce license cost. It helps you to reduce maintenance costs. You need less people on it in order to get pretty much the same results because you have an automated system. You don't need to read scripts. You don't need to create scripts. So these are the main reports that most of our users use that pretty much convey what the OpenLM core can do for you. Now, OpenLM also has many extensions to get the system much more managerial. You can have notifications, for example, to notify you once a license is about to expire. You can know what people are doing with their licenses after they check them out. So, for example, you can see an engineer that checked out the license. He got a use session duration of 12 hours, but he got idle session duration of maybe 11 hours. So you'll be able to see what's going on, if they're working, if they're on Facebook, or what's going on. And many other different extensions, such as role-based security, so you can give certain users certain privileges inside OpenLM, and many more. We got like 12 different extensions. Each one does something way different than the others, but this is saved for another webinar, the extensions webinar, which will be around next week. Now, this is it. I would be happy if you share your thoughts, questions, if something that you didn't understand, something that you want to know more about, something just to have a question about everything that you've seen here today. So please go ahead. You can ask using your microphone. You can ask in the chat, in the GoToMeeting chat box. So go ahead. If you have anything, I'm here for the next few minutes. The rest of you, I thank you very much for joining me. I hope that it was informative for you, and have a great day.
Yes, sir. Are you in at all, Mike?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. May I ask a slight, kind of troubleshooting question a little bit on this?
Yeah, shoot.
So I'm pretty new to the OpenLM, and just a few days ago.
Yes.
I can't get it to read my pre-configured options file.